This week our castaway is a celebrated soprano who now devotes her time to teaching, Dame Stiles-Allen. How good would you be at adapting yourself to loneliness?
Well, I try my best, but I don't think I'd be very happy with it, because I'm so fond of people. But I should be glad to get away from certain things that we have to put up with now.
Such as?
Well, noises and motor cars and aeroplanes.
How did you set about choosing 8 records?
I just sat down and wondered what I could bear to hear over and over again without getting tired. Or too much monotony, or on the other hand, too nostalgic. So I think my selection covers most of that.
What's the first one you have there?
A Serenade to Music by Vaughan Williams.
Why do you choose this?
Well, to have my old colleagues and friends with me, I wouldn't feel lonely with them around about to hear their voices again.
Yes. Vaughan Williams wrote this for 16 singers that he had in mind, including you.
Exactly.
With a solo phrase for each one of them.
Yes, practically the same amount of bars and voices.
Oh, he knew singers as well.
Oh, he did.
An excerpt from Serenade to Music. Did you know Vaughan Williams well?
Well, not particularly well, but he was a very charming man, and I enjoyed his company what little time I was with him.
Well, let's have your second record now. What's that to be?
Rhapsody in Blue.
Gershwin.
Yes.
Why?
Gershwin. Well, I heard it when it first came to England, and I was greatly impressed. It made such an impact on me that I felt that this man would be very wonderful one day. But the music, the various moods in it and the idioms in it, almost foretold his future. And I felt this man rising up and then gradually fading out, which he did in life. And it moved me so much that it's lived with me ever since.
an excerpt from Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue with Leonard Bernstein at the piano. And what next?
Well, I would like to take Lazy Afternoon, sung by Julie Andrews.
Of course, she's one of your pupils.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, she's almost like a daughter now. She came to me at the age of 7.
Really?
And I have visited her 3 times in California. And she's just the same, that full bubbling over, and always says, "Come along, madam, let's have a good dig this time, get this voice out." And she's godmother to my little grandson, too, which makes it interesting.
Well, let's listen to her singing Lazy Afternoon.
It's a lazy afternoon, and the beetle bugs are zooming, and the tulip trees are blooming, and there's not another human in view but us two. It's a lazy afternoon, and the farmer leaves his reaping, in the meadow cows are sleeping, and the speckled trout stop leaping upstream as we dream. A fat pink cloud hangs over the hill, unfolding like a rose. If you hold my hand and sit real still, you can hear the grass as it grows. It's a hazy afternoon, and I know a place that's quiet, except for daisies running riot, and there's no one passing by it to see. Come spend this lazy afternoon with me. If you hold my hand and sit real still, you can hear the grass as it grows. It's a hazy afternoon, and I know a place that's quiet, except for daisies running riot, and there's no one passing by it to see. Come spend this lazy afternoon with me.
Julie Andrews. I believe you were born just round the corner from Broadcasting House, which
Yes.
wasn't, of course, here in those days.
I was born just in Devonshire Street, in High Street, Marylebone.
Yes. Do you come from a musical family?
No, not particularly. Just ordinary people, you know, tradespeople.
As a schoolgirl, what did you want to be?
I wanted to be a ballerina. Very keen on dancing and loved it, choreography.
Mm-hmm.
In those days I was just slim enough to be able to do that. But it was not to be, I suppose. I had to turn to music.
Yes. Why did you turn to music?
I think it was just a natural love. I really went to a school in Orchard Street, where there was a German headmaster, and he used to call me Brunhilde at the age of 9, and I thought, what a peculiar name for a child.
Why did he call you Brunhilde?
Because I had a particularly deep-speaking voice, sort of one so frail and so young. And I suppose he could behold me having a voice later on to suit this. So much so that I used to go to the gymnasium to develop my figure, to get my chest broadened, because I was very narrow-chested. that I feel in a way I owe a great deal to him through that, because I became almost an athlete.
Yes. And you went to study at the Guildhall School of Music,
Yes.
where you did rather well. You got a gold medal.
Oh, yes, I think the first one ever given.
When you left the Guildhall, did you find work came fairly easily?
Oh, not by any means. Not by any means, because it was just before the First World War and things were difficult. I did the usual rounds, singing at Masonics and
Yeah.
that kind. But I could not get into the better music, so I had to resort to all kinds of...
Such as
singing on music halls.
Did you?
Yes, I did, and one which is rather laughable. I appeared at the little theatre in Chester, where Lockhart's Performing Elephants were on top of the bill, and I was the one that was at the bottom.
What was your first break as a serious singer?
When I went to Leeds, I was taken up there by Daniel Meyer, who was the great impresario of those days, and with Dame Clara Butt. She was the great star.
Mm-hmm.
And I was terrified, needless to say, but I sang, and I never looked back after that.
You became best known in oratorio. You didn't do very much opera.
No, I did mostly oratorio and opera in concert versions.
In concert versions.
Yes, quite a number.
Well, let's have your fourth record. What's that to be?
The Unfinished Symphony of Schubert,
Yes.
because that reminds me of my chief, Sir Landon Ronald. He was the principal of the Guildhall, and he used to take me around singing a lot of his concerts at Blackpool and Manchester and places like that. I think really as a showpiece to the Guildhall, and to give me an opportunity of singing with an orchestra.
Unfortunately, he never recorded it, so who shall we have to substitute for him on the podium?
Well, I think Giannini.
An excerpt from Schubert's Unfinished Symphony, Carlo Maria Giulini conducting the Philharmonia Orchestra. Now, for many years you had an annual engagement in T.C. Fairbairn's production of Hiawatha.
Oh, yes, for 12 years, consecutive years. Very happy memories. I love the part of Nokomis.
A cast of thousands
Yes,
at the Albert Hall.
yes, and I've had it mentioned in Canada and America, people that had heard me in that. I was very flattered.
And so many proms, so many concerts all over Britain. When did you first broadcast?
I think it was 1923. Creation, Haydn's Creation.
Yes, the first of many.
The very first of many. And there again, it was the greatest success I had because I had so much fan mail and I got so much work. So that I have a lot to thank the BBC for.
You didn't make many records in the early part of your career.
No, because my voice was not suitable. It was too big.
Yes. Before electrical recording
Yes, before,
came in.
yeah, exactly, you see. Had that been in vogue, I should have been quite
Yes.
at home with it.
In those acoustic days, a voice was either a recording voice or it wasn't. There was nothing you could do
No,
about it.
precisely. Exactly what happened.
Let's have record number 5 now.
And Visidati,
Your own recording.
my own recording, yes. Visidati is one of the successful ones I did.
your own recording of Visitarti from Puccini's Tosca. Now, Madam Stiles-Allen, in an interview once, you said that you often felt in your career that you were spiritually guided.
Yes, I do, for I frequently have these feelings, and it has been narrated before, this has been written up in a book. Well, I was singing for the BBC, singing Vaughan Williams' Silent Noon, and I suddenly had this feeling of levitation, so much so I took my shoes off and I had to hang on with my toes, and I went cold, and I turned round to Barclay Mason, who was the accompanist, and said, "Shelley Appian has passed on." And he said, "How do you know?" I said, I'm sure I felt his passing. And on the way home, it was on all the placards that Shelley Appian had passed. And I got in touch with Hanan Smoffer and asked, would this be possible? And he said, "Did you know him?" I said, "No." Had I met him? I said, "No, I admired him very much." He said, "Well, probably in one of your lives you might have sung with him, or might have been, he knew you, and in passing he heard your voice and was attracted to you, and either he was wanting to take you with him or to take your place and sing, or sing with you."
When did you decide to concentrate on teaching?
When the war broke out and everything went, you see, all contracts ceased and there was no concerts.
Quite. Now, what are your views on the younger generation? Are they better musicians?
Well, I should say yes, better musicians.
Are the voices as good?
But the voices, no, I don't. There's something missing. And I'm not being old-fashioned and saying things aren't what they were. But I'm listening for something that's going to really thrill me, and I never get it.
Why do you think that is? Don't they work as hard?
No, I don't think they work as hard, and I don't think they appreciate words. It's all my voice, my voice, my voice. And I believe it was Wagner who said, "You can all sing my beautiful music, but who will sing my beautiful words?"
Let's have another record. That's number 6.
Well, here, Fischer Discalf singing Stenchen, I think, is a perfect example of perfect everything. Interpretation, voice, diction, and the exquisite accompaniment by Gerald Moore. Couldn't wish for anything better.
Leise fliehen meine Lieder durch die Nacht zu dir. In den Stillen einer Liebchen, komm zu mir. Flüstern schlanke Wipfel rauschen in des Mondes Licht, in des Mondes Licht. Es verrät das feindlich Lauschen, fürchte Holde nicht, fürchte Holde nicht.
Dietrich Fischer-Dieskau singing Schubert's Serenade. What are your hobbies?
Well, knitting, strange to relate.
Yes.
Though we're going to mention her now, it's her hobbies too, Flagstars. And may I just quote a little thing to you? Dear Kathleen Ferrier said to me, I was singing at a recital, and she was put in to play the piano, Kathleen, and I was knitting between my items, between the first and second half. And she came to me and said, "Oh, fancy you knitting. Why do you do that, madam?" I said, "Well, while I'm knitting, I'm not thinking. I'm just giving my brain a rest. So when I go on the second half, I start afresh." And when I met Kathleen again some years after, she said, "You know, I took your tip and I did the same."
Yes. You like gardening too?
Oh, yes. I can't do very much now, of course, but I love gardens.
You have green fingers.
Yes. Yes, I talk to the flowers.
That's record number 7.
Flagstart singing the Liebestod from Tristan and Isolde.
Yes.
Here is absolute perfection personified. Words fail me to say more, because tears come to my eyes when I think of it.
Kirsten Flagstad singing the Liebestod from Tristan and Isolde, which brings us to your last record. What's that to be?
Oh, the Hallelujah Chorus from the Messiah. And I would like it, if possible, to have it for Sir Henry Coward conducting with his northern choirs, because he was a wonderful old Yorkshire gentleman, and I really made my start with him when I sang up there, and he recommended me all over Yorkshire and Scotland, where he conducted too. And although I lived up there for 10 years during the war, unfortunately never heard his name mentioned, and I want to offer this as a tribute to him, as well as to Yorkshire. Thank you.
Well, here he is, conducting the Sheffield Choir.
Thank you.
Hallelujah chorus. If you could take just one disc out of the 8 you played us, which will it be?
Oh, I think the Liebestod.
And one luxury to take to the island with you?
Could I have a piano?
Yes, upright.
Oh, wonderful.
Right.
Any music?
Some in the piano stool.
Oh, thank you.
And it's against the rules, but you can have some knitting wool and needles
Oh,
as well.
thank you. That would be a great joy.
And one book, apart from the Bible and Shakespeare.
The Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes.
I don't know it.
It's a very wonderful book. It makes religion a thing that you can live with, that you don't have to be so dull and treat it as something that shouldn't be happy. It's life as it should be.
The Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes.
Holmes, yes.
Right. And thank you, Madam Stiles-Allen, for letting us hear your Desert Island discs.
Oh, thank you so much. I can't tell you how I've enjoyed it.
Good.
It's been rather wonderful to come back again.
Goodbye, everyone.